guys, today you will learn how to format memos in email. To begin our podcast, we're going to go over line spacing abbreviations. The first one is SS, which stands for single space. In order to create a single space, you must strike the enter key one time. This creates no lines within a paragraph. If you would look within the purple box, you'll see an example of single spacing. DS stands for double space. Strike the enter key 2 times in order to create a double space. A double space leaves one line between paragraphs. If you'll notice on this slide, the green boxes represent a space in between each of the memo headings. The orange circles indicate a paragraph mark to show you that there is a double space within the memo heading. Our last line spacing abbreviation is TS, which stands for triple space. Strike the enter key 3 times to create a triple space. Triple space leaves 2 spaces in between lines. As indicated by this slide, in the red box shows a triple space. There are 2 paragraph marks located within the red box. In addition to line spacing abbreviations, we also have margin abbreviations. TM stands for top margin, SM stands for side margin, BM stands for bottom margin. The official name for a memo is Inter-Office Memorandum. It is a written message that is used by employees within an organization to communicate with one another. An example of sending a memo would be me sending a letter to another teacher at another school within our parish. In our parish, we have at least 3 other middle schools. I can send a teacher a memo at these other schools. Although they do not work in the same building as I do, we do all work for the same school system. I would not send a memo to the President of the United States or any other government official. The reason is because they do not work in the same organization that I work in. If I was to send information to the President, I would send it in a formal letter. Now that you know what a memo is and how to use it, let's talk about how a memo is made. The parts of a memo will always consist of a heading and a body. Reference initials and attachment or enclosure notations are optional. We will talk about those in detail a little later. When creating a memo, the first thing you need to do is change your margins. A memo has a top margin of 2 inches and a side and bottom margin of 1 inch. A 2-inch margin is typically used because organizations usually put a letterhead on top of their memos. Let's talk about each part of the memo individually. The heading of a memo consists of who the memo is being sent to, who the memo is from, the date the memo is being sent, and what the memo is all about. All lines of the headings begin at the left margin. You never ever indent. In the heading, the words to, from, date, and subject will be keyed in all caps. In addition, the subject title is also keyed in all caps. Between each line in the heading, you will have a double space. Previously, we said a double space is when you tap enter twice at the end of a line to have a space in between each line. We also tab 2 times for to, once from date, once for from, and once for subject. It is important that the information that is typed in for to, from, date, and subject are all lined up using the tab system. The body of a memo, paragraphs all begin on the left margin. Remember to never use an indentation. All paragraphs are single space, meaning that they will have no space in between the two lines. We do, however, double space in between paragraphs. One of the optional parts of a memo is called reference initials. Reference initials are used if someone other than the writer of the memo types the memo. If this occurs, the person who is typing the memo keys his or her initials in lowercase letters on the left margin, double space below the body of the memo. As you can see here, I have added my initials RB in lowercase letters without periods behind my name. It is double space below the body of the text. A good rule of thumb to know when to use reference initials is if your name does not appear on the from line. Just like in this memo, my name is not Mary Seville. Therefore, I had to add my initials because I am the one who keyed the text, but I did not write the text. Another optional part to a memo is attachment or enclosure notation. Let's start with attachment. If another document is physically attached to a memo, the word attachment is keyed at the left margin. If another document just accompanies the memo and it is not attached, the word enclosure appears in the left margin. The word attachment or enclosure will be double space below reference initials if they are included. If reference initials are not there, then the word attachment or enclosure will appear double space below the body of the text. In this memo, the word enclosure has been keyed on the memo. The reason it has been keyed is because in the memo it stated that I have enclosed copies of the brochure from Italy. So, with that being said, then the typer of the memo knows to key the word enclosure double spaced after the reference initials. We must also talk about email or electronic mail. Emails have basically taken the place of memos and letters because they are easily distributed around the world in mere minutes. So it makes communication faster and easier among businesses. Email headings include to, CC, BCC, attachment, and subject line. In the to box, you will include the recipient's email address or the person you're sending the email to's address. A CC line is used to send a copy of messages to other individuals. A BCC line is used to send a copy of the message to someone without the receiver knowing. An attachment line is used to send additional files with the email message. Remember to keep the subject in all caps. The body of the email consists of the paragraphs beginning at the left margin. Remember to never, ever indent. All paragraphs are single space and you double space between the paragraphs. The body of an email and the body of a memo are exactly the same. This concludes our podcast on memos and emails. I hope you learned a little something more about how to properly format and send emails. Thanks for listening.